Hello followers of the Did You Know channel. The Strange Ring, The Road to Cleopatra's Tomb, The Book of the Dead, Strange Tombs. Egypt is full of mysteries, and it seems that it will never stop being amazing. Let's check out the new discoveries together. In this episode, I will show you the most strange and even mysterious discoveries from Egypt in recent times. Let's go. Strange Ring. I think it is no secret that archaeologists found more than 100 years ago one of the most important sites in Egyptian history, which is the tomb of King Tut. For thousands of years it was untouched, so the ancient artifacts were in good condition. Ornaments, artifacts, and some traces of people who disappeared have been preserved. In general, many have survived to our days. Nevertheless, I would like to start with one ornament, not a simple one, but rather one whose existence contradicts the modern version of history. The important thing is that this ornament depicts a mysterious creature resembling an alien. Does this mean that the Egyptians had experience encountering aliens? Were they talking about something? Or wait. Perhaps the matter is simpler, and he is not alien, but the Egyptian god Ptah. According to history, he is the creator of the world, the god of the dead, and the god of truth and justice. Judging by the internet images, it looks exactly like the image on the ring. The only thing that bothers me is the fact that Ptah is hovering above the ground. Either he actually met humans and flew, or he is a representative of some alien civilization with advanced flight technology. These objects that light up to the right of the screen as they go out add mystery to the puzzle. It cannot be ruled out that these are parts of a strange mechanism that works with the wand and the platform, and I haven't even told you about the strange thing behind the man to his left. Why did the Egyptians draw this mysterious picture in a ring? What do you think if you have your own opinion on this? Share with me in the comments. The crocodile mummy. I think no one will doubt that the Egyptians loved mummification. At first it applied to people, but in some cases even animal corpses were mummified. Scientists have already found mummies of lions and cats several times, in addition to a statue of a scarab beetle. And it seems that there is nothing strange and unusual. For example, the lion is always attributed to the ancient Egyptian god Mahes, the god of war and thunder, as the Egyptians portrayed him as a man with a lion's head and knives in his hand, from concept out of respect. And reverence is that the locals are mummifying the animals that are coming to an end. And yet in January this year, during archaeological work in the Kubet al-Hawa area, a team of British scientists found several mummies of crocodiles. Were these animals respected? The scientists wondered. But the exact answer cannot be obtained. According to local workers, less than 20 similar burials were found during excavations in Egypt. What do you think is their goal? The oldest mummy in Egypt. I am sure that many of you thought that the oldest mummies were found long ago. Perhaps they were for some pharaohs. But in fact, the oldest mummy was not discovered so far until recently. This happened in the Saqqara cemetery, according to the head of the mission. It happened in a burial mine 15 meters deep. At the bottom was a large rectangular sarcophagus of limestone. The inscriptions engraved on the upper part of it indicate that the king of the sarcophagus was named Haka Shabis, and that this person was buried 4,300 years ago. Of course, this was not the only mummy that was found. They also found a fairly large tomb that belonged to Khan Majd. According to the hieroglyphic inscriptions, he held several important positions that Egyptologists have translated as follows: inspector of officials, supervisor of nobles, and priest in the pyramid complex of Anas, the last ruler, fifth family. While the oldest mummy was decorated with golden leaves, the other tomb was surrounded by scenes from his daily life. The second largest tomb belonged to a woman named Harry, who was the keeper of secrets and assistant to the ruler of the Great Palace. Archaeologists also discovered the tomb of a priest, whose name remains unknown due to the lack of inscriptions. This tomb is distinguished by the fact that 9 perfectly executed statues were found, 2 of which are of the owner of the tomb and his wife, while the rest depict their servants. Book of the Dead. The Step Pyramid of Djoser, which is located in Saqqara, is considered the oldest large stone structure on Earth. Logically, It got this name after the pharaoh who was built during his reign. When the head of state left the world, all his subordinates wanted to become a part of history and have the opportunity to lie down next to the previous pharaoh. For this reason, the whole area has now become a real necropolis. In one of the tombs located near the pyramid, a group of archaeologists found a sarcophagus containing not only a mummy, but also an ancient scroll with talismans, which according to experts was written between the years 712 and 312 BC. It should be noted that its length was up to 16 meters, despite the fact that this is not the longest text in the Book of the Dead, but this length is very rare. Moreover, they found here a complete papyrus with ancient funerary texts, as usual, because the discovery is new, so no one can say anything about it. Everyone keeps the information confidential if it is of very important value. A new city, the Egyptian city of Luxor, constantly announces new artifacts that have been found there. Some have stopped believing the media to the point that they think this is nothing but a marketing ploy to attract new tourists to the ancient city and so on. Recently, at the beginning of the year 2023, scientists found in Luxor the remains of an ancient Roman city dating back to the 2nd or 3rd century AD. According to archaeologists, they found the ruins of the oldest Roman settlement in this place. Here is what they managed to excavate in this site: the houses and postal sites, blacksmiths' workplaces, and family attributes. Now, does anyone dare question him in the greatness of this site? Or is this some kind of marketing ploy? As you already learned from today's episode, there are not only pyramids in Egypt, but there are a number of tombs with their unique history. Some tombs do not contain anything strange or mysterious, while others can be a real starting point for thinking and creating strange theories. For example, a burial complex appeared next to the monument of the great guardian Harva. With the passage of time, and some time passed, and Khalifa Harva built his tomb in a nearby place. And then his successor did that, and after him a new caliph did that, and they continued like this. This tradition had been going on for centuries, when it was suddenly interrupted by someone, or rather something. Scientists recently excavated a mound of structures covered with a layer of lime next to Harva's burial ground. A fire pit was also found with the remains of those who did not deign to be buried in a common pit covered with lime. All these unfortunate people fell victim to an epidemic known as the Plague of Siberian. Their bodies were buried in lime or burned for fear of spreading the disease. No one else was buried there after the epidemic. This information has led to many theories and mysteries. Who was this Spirea, and why was the disease named after him? Perhaps he himself invented a recipe for it, and thus killed thousands of innocent people. According to historians, before the plague, about 500,000 people lived in the territory of Alexandria, but after the plague, the number was less than 200,000. The tomb of the guard, in the outskirts of Cairo, other excavations were carried out, and during that night people accidentally stumbled upon an unusual sarcophagus. After understanding a little wonder, it became clear to everyone. This is the tomb of Ptah-Emwia, who headed the treasury of King Ramesses II, the most powerful ancient Egyptian ruler. Around the grave, the titles of Ptah-Em and Ya were carved, which confirms his closeness to the king. The sarcophagus also contained emblems of the gods, including a drawing of the sky goddess Nut on the lid. Discovery. In the river delta, the next discovery was made in the Nile Delta. Archaeologists found a wine press, vessels for storing wine, and part of a brick wall with limestone blocks embedded in it, and this is used to maintain the necessary heat. According to experts, these findings date back to the Greco-Roman period. Along with them, they found fragments of colored stucco and mosaics. Contemporaries often found the house of an ancient winemaker who was fond of his job and worked according to all the rules. Mysterious burials. When talking about tombs, we immediately imagine golden mummies, pharaohs, and nobles. Scientists wouldn't tell about a tomb found for a commoner, would they? But the following story is always remembered by all historians. The truth is that people somehow found the grave of a little boy buried with 100 dogs. At first, people didn't understand how that was possible. In general, what did he do to deserve such a fate? But later, everything became clearer and more understandable. Maybe the boy simply drowned, And maybe the dogs drowned too. This is evidenced by traces of blue clay, which are often found in ancient Egyptian reservoirs. It is likely that the place of residence of dogs, and this boy drowned and no one survived. Unfortunately or fortunately, these are not all the mysteries related to this discovery. Shortly before the discovery of this strange tomb, people found the tomb of a man who had been executed. He had an arrow in his heart, a bag on his head. Perhaps it was a coincidence, but the deceased boy also had some kind of linen bag on his head. Passage to Cleopatra. Cleopatra was the last queen of the Ptolemaic kingdom of the Ptolemaic dynasty, which the whole world knows. For now the most logical option was to search in Alexandria to find her tomb, her birthplace, and her office there. Everything seemed to fit together. But the search did not yield any results. Some lovers of ancient history conducted their own investigations and tried to put themselves in the right place. They tried to imagine exactly where she was buried, and what could happen to her in general. As a result, people came to the conclusion that it is necessary to examine the temple of Tabusiris Magna. The search for the tomb continued, and with each month gave new results. They found drawings, graffiti, and useful artifacts related to Cleopatra. And then not long ago, people reached the final stage, where archaeologists found an underground tunnel that extends for more than 1 kilometer, part of which passes him underwater, along with the foundations of the temple. But this is not surprising. Dozens of earthquakes have occurred here over the years. According to scholars, this should be a passage to the tomb of the queen. But even if it turns out that it is not, the modern world will have to see something that is no less important or useful from the point of view of scientific. That's it. Tell me in the comments about who surprised you the most about Egypt. Thanks for watching and see you later.